What if Naruto, the parallel comparison that made Konoha panic? The live stream suddenly interrupted the Chunin Exams, showing two completely different lives of Naruto Uzumaki. First, there is the Naruto from the original world. Many suspected he grew up under the influence of Kotoamatsukami. He went from being a despised, bottom-ranked fox demon to the revered Seventh Hokage, relying entirely on his persuasive words and basic martial arts skills. Then, there is the Naruto from the parallel world. He has shown normal human intelligence ever since he could remember. While striving to improve himself, he also kept a detailed record of his enemies, quietly awaiting a future reckoning with Konoha. Upon learning of his true origins, he single-handedly revived the Uzumaki clan. Let's look at the reactions from the watching world. Tobirama Senju. Naruto Uzumaki was born evil. He actually dared to flirt with Tsunade right in front of us. Hashirama Senju. Tobirama, quiet down. We are already dead. Madara Uchiha. Black Zetsu, please just die first. Kushina Uzumaki. As expected of my son. We must rebuild the land of whirlpools. Minato Namikaze. So, it turns out I am actually Minato Senju. Kagaya Otsutsuki. I understand the reasoning, but why is it that even I? Chapter 1, the dual comparison viewing experience arrives. In the Land of Fire, within the Leaf Village of Konoha, the Chunin Exam arena was filled with noise. The match was the Hyuga clan's genius versus the dead last of the academy. Complaints echoed throughout the entire venue. To the crowd, there was nothing to see, and the outcome was completely predictable. Hyuga Neji was easily crushing Naruto Uzumaki. Just as he was about to end the match, Neji suddenly stopped. He looked at Naruto, who was beaten down but still glaring back stubbornly. Neji smiled, silently untying the forehead protector from his brow, revealing the caged bird seal branded on his forehead. This was the moment he had been waiting for. A fine layer of cold sweat appeared on Hyuga Hayashi's forehead. Neji had waited until this exact moment, in an arena filled with foreign dignitaries and people from other villages, to expose the Hyuga clan's darkest scandal. Clearly, Neji had a strong purpose. At the highest point of the stands, Orochimaru, disguised as the fourth Kazekage, glanced at the third Hokage. Lord Third's expression was grim, but he quickly hid it. Orochimaru smiled. His old teacher was as enduring as ever, truly worthy of being called the professor. So, you're saying that as long as you work hard, anyone can become Hokage, right? Neji asked mockingly. Face reality. Those who can become Hokage are destined for it from birth. With that, Neji put his forehead protector back on. Naruto, whose chakra points had been sealed by the gentle fist strike, fell silent. He lowered his head, gritting his teeth, his shoulders trembling. Finally, he clenched his fists and shouted at Neji, "So what? I won't give up easily." At this moment, the victory seemed decided. Whether in terms of combat or rhetoric, Neji completely overwhelmed Naruto. With the 8 trigrams 64 palms, Naruto was once again sent flying. The idea that you can achieve your dreams just by working hard is simply a fantasy, Neji said calmly. The match, which should have ended long ago, had been deliberately dragged out by Neji. And then, inside Naruto's mindscape, he roared, "Stupid fox! You've lived here long enough, time to pay rent. Lend me your power." The Nine Tails chakra erupted. Naruto regained his ability to move. In a desperate, disheveled counterattack, he managed to knock Neji to the ground. Neji had lost to the power of the Nine Tails. He lay on the ground, watching Naruto loudly shouting, and briefly fell into self-doubt. Before the fight, Naruto was just the academy's dead last. After the fight, it turned out this guy was a major landlord hiding massive power. A captured bird, if it's smart enough, will use its beak to open the cage door, because they haven't given up hope of soaring freely in the sky. Shiranui Gunma, with his hands in his pockets, glanced indifferently at Neji. Neji was stunned. At the same time, enthusiastic applause erupted from the stands. Suddenly, Neji felt a sense of relief. The birds were caged, but they didn't blame the cage, nor the person who caged them. Instead, they blamed themselves for not being smart enough. In his mind, he thought, "Naruto Uzumaki, your sophistry won." Just as Neji closed his eyes in resignation, a booming sound echoed through the sky. Ding! Comparison live stream activated. The live stream will display the lives of this world's 9 tails Jinchuriki, Naruto Uzumaki, and a parallel world's 9 tails Jinchuriki. The screen with the golden border on the right displays this world's Naruto Uzumaki. The screen with the black border on the left displays the parallel world's Naruto Uzumaki. As the massive, mechanical voice rang out, everyone was stunned. They looked up at the 2 enormous screens that had materialized in the sky. Genjutsu, someone stammered. Hee, Hokage-sama, you really love to joke, another replied. We are all here, so who could cast a genjutsu right under our noses? The Leaf Village elders and the Hokage were deeply unsettled. Even though Hiruzen Sarutobi spoke calmly, he was continuously forming hand signs to dispel the illusion, but nothing happened. Soon, the mechanical voice appeared again. Ding! Relevant personnel have been pulled into the system. Everyone can speak freely within the comparison live stream chat room. Any aggressive behavior is prohibited during viewing. During viewing, there will be prize quizzes. Please participate actively. Rewards include ninjutsu, taijutsu, forbidden jutsu, and are even inclusive of rewards such as resurrection. What were these things? Prize quizzes? And even resurrection? Just as everyone was bewildered and shocked, the first message appeared in the chat room. First Hokage, Senju Hashirama, testing, 1, 2, 3. Rosa, I'm dead and I can still speak? Hey! Orochimaru, get out here, you bastard! You dare to stab me in the back? Rosa? The 4th Kazekage? Dead and still speaking? For a moment, the people in the arena were dumbfounded. They looked up at the stands. Wasn't the 4th Kazekage sitting right next to the 3rd Hokage? Why would he say he was dead? Could it be? Hiruzen Sarutobi narrowed his eyes slightly, recalling Orochimaru's strange appearance during the 2nd exam. He looked warily at the person sitting next to him. Orochimaru? Hiruzen asked uncertainly. At this moment, Orochimaru was also slow to react. A dead person could still speak? He tried to mobilize his chakra to launch a surprise attack on Hiruzen, but his body wouldn't move. Aggressive behavior is prohibited, the system reminded. Orochimaru shook his head helplessly. Then, he removed the 4th Kazekage robes, revealing his true appearance. There's really nothing I can do, Orochimaru smirked. Sensei Hiruzen, you should thank the appearance of this comparison live stream. I cannot engage in aggressive actions. Orochimaru! Hiruzen saw his former beloved student. A surge of nameless anger rose, and at the same time, a wave of fear washed over him. He hadn't expected the 4th Kazekage to be killed by Orochimaru, who then disguised himself and remained by his side without him noticing. What exactly do you want to do? Of course, I want to send Sensei Hiruzen off on his final journey. Since he was exposed, Orochimaru no longer bothered to disguise himself. He looked up at the enormous screen in the sky. To make this old, dilapidated windmill of Konoha turn again. With that, Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. Are these screens the result of technology or ninjutsu? Many people had similar thoughts. But just then, someone else spoke in the chat room. First Hokage, Senju Hashirama, eh? It seems dead people really can speak. What is this thing? Second Hokage, Senju Tobirama, it seems to be true, big brother. Naruto Uzumaki? Is he from Maito's clan? Senju Hashirama, he should be. Maito, are you there? Uzumaki Maito, I am. Senju Hashirama, ha ha ha. You're dead too. Uzumaki Maito, not long after Tobirama died, the land of whirlpools was destroyed. Every ninja village participated, including your precious Konoha. Tsunade eventually brought back Kushina, who was suitable to become the next Jinchuriki, and then I passed away. Uzumaki Kushina, huh? Grandma Maito! Wait, Naruto, my child. Senju Tobirama, damn it. I bet this was the work of the inherently evil Ucha. Senju Hashirama, Tobirama, there you go again. Senju Tobirama, HMPH. Ucha Madara, Konoha participated in the destruction. Do you think the Ucha, whom you deliberately targeted and isolated, even had a chance to get a piece of the pie? Why don't you ask your dear subordinates, Tobirama? The village leadership looks completely corrupt. Senju Hashirama, ha ha ha, I knew you were here too, Madara. Senju Tobirama, big brother, shut up for a moment. Uzumaki Kushina, all of you shut up first. Naruto, can you see these messages? They're all dead people. Are there any living people here? If so, make a sound. Might Guy, squeak. Chapter 2, Kushina's Fury. Wait, Might Guy. Kakashi tried to stop him, but he was a bit too slow. Might Guy had already successfully sent the message. As a ninja, and with this matter concerning a Jinchuriki, they shouldn't have spoken so easily in front of foreign villages. After all, the past was in the past, but the living still had to survive. Moreover, it was still unknown if this was a massive genjutsu. Uzumaki Kushina, that's great. Is that Might Guy? Is Kakashi there? Where's Naruto? Naruto Uzumaki. Ucha Mikoto, revival, prize quiz. Never mind that for now. Sasuke, are you okay? Tell your mom quickly, are you still alive? The two mothers were incredibly anxious. Of course, there was another very anxious person in the chat. Rosa, hey, wait a minute. All Hidden Sand ninjas, listen up. The Konoha Crush plan is terminated. Do not let Orochimaru succeed. The Sunigakure ninja in the stands were shocked. Their own Kazekage was dead, and no one had noticed, meaning they were being played like puppets. This was bad. Uzumaki Kushina, Mikoto? Mikoto, how did you die too? Ucha Mikoto, we'll talk about that later. Sasuke, did you see my message? In the waiting area, Sasuke, who was preparing to enter the arena, suddenly felt his eyes grow hot. Mom, I'm still alive. I will definitely kill that guy with my own hands. 5 years had passed since the tragedy, and Sasuke felt as if he was dreaming, hearing his mother's voice again. Inside the arena, Naruto rubbed his head. Uzumaki Kushina? How strange, it's the first time I've met someone with the same surname as me. Hyuga Neji opened his eyes, looking at the clueless Naruto in front of him. He was completely speechless. Wasn't it obvious? Above the stands, Orochimaru looked mockingly at Hiruzen Sarutobi's pale expression. Hiruzen-sensei, you seem a little nervous. Oh, it must be because you deliberately concealed certain things, right? Yes, that's very much in line with your style. After all, if everyone knew Naruto was the son of the fourth Hokage, who would bear the resentment of the village fools? My apologies, Hiruzen-sensei, you must have been doing it for Konoha's sake. Orochimaru's words felt like a tight grip around Hiruzen Sarutobi's neck. At this moment, many Konoha ninja looked up at the Hokage with questioning eyes. Naruto Uzumaki, Auntie, do you know me? What a coincidence, your son's name is the same as mine. Everyone was collectively silent. Third Tsukikage Onoki, it seems it's not a genjutsu after all. Even dead people can be pulled in. The third Hokage is truly an old hypocrite. Fourth Raikage, exactly. If that old man were in my hidden cloud village, he'd have been dragged out and dealt with long ago. Although the Raikage and Tsukikage were rivals, seeing Konoha's internal corruption exposed, they immediately joined forces to mock them. Fifth Hokage my Terumi, what exactly are these gold and black screens? The mention of the fifth Hokage caused a stir. Did the Hidden Mist village have a new leader? Uzumaki Kushina, stop interrupting. Naruto, I'm your mother. Why don't you know me? Don't tell me you don't even know your father is the fourth Hokage. As soon as Kushina's message appeared, the entire arena instantly fell silent. That orphan boy, the one they called a monster fox, was actually the son of their greatest hero? Don't be ridiculous. The genin of the new generation all looked down at Naruto in shock. Inuzuka Kiba was dumbfounded. Neji stared at Naruto for a long time, suddenly smiling with a bitter sense of irony. Uzumaki Kushina, what exactly is going on here? Old man third, didn't I ask you to take good care of Naruto? Is this how you take care of my son? Minato, get out here and say something. I know you're in this chat room too. Kushina's furious words kept flooding the chat, directing question after question at Hiruzen Sarutobi. Minato Namake's remained completely silent, while Naruto listened, utterly bewildered. Hiruzen Sarutobi was breaking out in a cold sweat, and even Uchiha Mikoto dared not interject. Ding! Just then, the voice of the comparison system sounded again. To Hiruzen's ears, it sounded like celestial music, saving him from immediate judgment. Kakashi wiped away imaginary sweat from his forehead. He was panicking, truly afraid that Kushina would call his name next. Fortunately, the system paused the chat. Content loading complete. Comparison viewing countdown begins. 3, 2, 1. Friendly reminder, please watch carefully and actively participate in the prize quiz. Comparison viewing begins. The golden framed screen on the right lit up, displaying an image. The screen showed the land of fire, Konoha village, 3 years after the Nine Tails tragedy. Naruto, still a toddler, had been kept within the Sarutobi clan compound for those 3 years. Today was the day he was being sent out to live alone. The scene shifted to the top floor of a run-down, old apartment. A ninja from the Sarutobi clan pushed open the door, and a musty, suffocating smell wafted out. From today on, this will be your home, the ninja said, turning back with eyes full of undisguised disgust. At his feet, a frail child looked at him helplessly. The child had golden hair, azure blue eyes, and 6 whisker marks on his face. This is your living expense for this month. Once it's used up, you'll have to figure it out yourself. The ninja threw down an envelope containing 3,000 ryo and turned to leave, unwilling to stay there for another second. The screen left the young Naruto standing helplessly by the door. Is that Naruto? Sakura Haruno whispered in shock. The rest of the Konoha 11 recognized him immediately. Shikamaru leaned on the railing, looking at the golden framed screen. Comparison viewing, the lives of 2 completely different Narutos. This must be the Naruto from our world, the one we know. What will the parallel one look like? The atmosphere in Konoha became incredibly heavy. Kushina's public outrage had put the village leadership in an impossible position. But no one could blame a mother. As it stood on screen, Konoha looked entirely in the wrong. Orochimaru was thoroughly amused, watching the colors change on Hiruzen Sarutobi's face. How interesting. The only pity was that none of the living Konoha ninjas dared to speak up in the chat, since the third Hokage was sitting right there. Orochimaru secretly sighed. It seemed impossible for Hiruzen to die a hero now. Uzumaki Kushina, Naruto? My poor child. Good, very good, old monkey. So this is how you take care of my son? 3,000 ryo a month? You're really generous. Where is our inheritance? Minato, if you don't speak up right now, Naruto won't need to recognize you as his father anymore. 4th Hokage Minato Namake's cough. Squeak. Chapter 3, A Helpless Child, a Damned Fox Demon. Unbelievable. The hero of the Nine Tails tragedy, the 4th Hokage himself, had spoken. It completely extinguished the last shred of denial the village elders had. The boy was truly the hero's son. Looking at the scene in the golden frame, many villagers felt a deep wave of regret. Why hadn't anyone told them earlier? All they had heard was that he was a monster fox. Senju Hashirama, so Naruto is definitely from the Uzumaki clan. Senju Tobirama, big brother, isn't that completely obvious by now? Hashirama was merely trying to smooth things over, knowing this was a massive Konoha scandal. Tobirama quickly played along to distract the other villages. My Terumi, as far as I know, members of the Uzumaki clan have distinct red hair, but Naruto has blonde hair, just like the fourth Hokage. Uzumaki Maito, Kushina is a pure-blooded Uzumaki. When the child takes the father's traits, it usually means the father's bloodline power is equal or superior. Senju Hashirama, Namikaze, did another great clan rise in Konoha after we passed. Orochimaru glanced at Hiruzen, then typed in the chat, no, the Namikaze isn't even a minor clan. Even if they had the potential to rise, well, we see how Konoha treats heroes. Senju Hashirama, Tsunade's hair color is also blonde. Interesting. The chat went wild with absurd theories. Was the fourth Hokage secretly related to Tsunade? The scene in the golden frame continued. Little Naruto, after the ninja left, struggled to open the window to let the musty smell out. He tilted his face, staring blankly at the sky, wondering why everyone hated him. He stood there all alone until noon. He was hungry, but the room was empty. Mustering his courage, he went downstairs with his small allowance to find food. But the streets were unfamiliar, and he wandered aimlessly. Soon, a sudden whisper disrupted the quiet street. Hey, look, it's him, isn't it? The man whispered. Another villager echoed, that's right, it's him. Look at the whiskers on his face. The conversation quickly drew a crowd. The villagers' chatter began to rise. Little Naruto felt a suffocating wave of malice surrounding him. His steps slowed as the shouts reached his ears. It's him. The cursed fox demon. Why is he still alive? I want to avenge my family. The malice materialized. The small smile on Naruto's face vanished. Without warning, a small stone whizzed past Naruto's ear. Someone had thrown it. The camera focused on a villager's angry face. Kill the fox demon. An old woman took an egg from her basket and threw it. It hit the unsuspecting child directly on the forehead. Pain struck, egg yolk splattered, and little Naruto clutched his head, tears streaming down his face. Watching him curl up on the ground, the crowd found an outlet for their anger, throwing everything they had at him. Die, monster! Naruto groaned, trying to run, but a sharp stone hit his leg, causing him to collapse onto the pavement. The sight of the defeated child only emboldened the crowd. More and more people joined in, attacking a defenseless 3-year-old. Naruto curled into a ball, his cries drowned out by the curses. He had no idea what he had done wrong. It's because of him the Hokage died, someone screamed. Suddenly, a kunai was hurled directly at the boy. Clang! A ninja wearing an animal mask appeared, blocking the weapon just in time. The Anbu ninja monitoring Naruto had finally intervened. Stop! This matter ends here, a second Anbu ninja announced, arriving belatedly. Lord Third has issued a decree. All citizens are strictly forbidden from mentioning the terms a demon fox in front of Naruto Uzumaki. Attacking or discussing him is strictly prohibited. The crowd fell silent, but their faces were still twisted with resentment. After the Anbu carried the crying child away, the villagers whispered among themselves, spreading the news. To them, the blonde-haired child was the monster who killed their loved ones. Uzumaki Kushina, ah. Hiruzen Sarutabi, I want you dead. Chapter 4, The Parallel Identity. Kushina's heartbreaking cries were abruptly muffled by the system again. In the arena, Naruto looked around, thoroughly bewildered. Everyone was staring at him. Normally, he would love the attention, but right now, it felt terrible. Suddenly, a strange compliance washed over Naruto. He went back to holding the back of his head, smiling foolishly. So I have a mother, and my mother loves me very much. Neji, standing close by, noticed the sudden shift in Naruto's demeanor. He frowned. How did Naruto go from being deeply affected to acting like an idiot again so quickly? Neji wanted to activate his Byakugan to see if Naruto was under a genjutsu, but the system's restrictions prevented him from molding chakra. He silently noted the anomaly. The golden screen had revealed a massive political scandal, and the old Tsukikage wasn't about to let it slide. Onoki, so that's it. Naruto Uzumaki is Konoha's 9 Tails Jinchuriki. Third Hokage, you really are something. That's the son of your village hero, yet you treat him like garbage. I suppose the apple doesn't fall far from the tree with your Anbu guards either. Fourth Raikage, for once, the old man from the stone village is right. I expect nothing less from Konoha under Hiruzen's rule. My Terumi, I have a question. Kushina was the previous Jinchuriki. Knowing how dangerous extraction is, she would never willingly let her child bear that burden. Something went terribly wrong during the 9 Tails incident. Her words deeply triggered Gaara in the stands. Gaara, these people, they all deserve to die. He saw his own painful upbringing reflected in Naruto's past, though Gaara considered himself slightly luckier because his sand had always protected him from physical harm. Temari and Kankuro watched Gaara with deeply worried expressions, relieved only by the fact that the system prevented any violent outbursts. Senju Hashirama, well, structural flaws happen in any village layout, right? Ha ha ha. Acha Madara, HMPH, disgraceful as always, Hashirama. Senju Tobirama, big brother, stay silent. Naruto Uzumaki, can you hear me? Tell me, is the video we just watched entirely accurate to your memory? As a master politician, Tobirama saw exactly what Hiruzen's long-term play was. He knew someone would eventually rescue Naruto from his misery to ensure his absolute loyalty to the Hokage office. Tobirama had also deduced that if the Senju bloodline had truly integrated into the civilian population, the Namake's line likely carried Senju traits to perfectly balance the Uzumaki chakra. Eh? Is the second Hokage asking me? Naruto scratched his head, grinning. Sorry, Lord Second. I didn't mean to paint the Hokage monument, I promise I won't do it again. Senju Tobirama, I am not asking about the monument. Do you remember the abuse on the screen? Naruto Uzumaki, a little bit, but I've forgotten most of it, Hiruzen Sarutabi's pupils constricted. A fine layer of cold sweat covered his forehead. With Tobirama personally interrogating the boy, things were getting out of hand. Kushina had gone quiet, but Hiruzen knew that if she were resurrected via the quiz rewards, she would come for his head. He felt a profound chill down his spine, unable to meet the eyes of his own Jonin. Orochimaru extended his long tongue, licking his lips. Hiruzen-sensei, I think things are about to get much more entertaining. I decided I won't even destroy the village today. I want to sit back and watch someone else tear down this rotten windmill and rebuild it from scratch. Orochimaru looked down at Naruto, his scientific curiosity peaking. Meanwhile, in the chat, under Tobirama's careful guidance, Naruto began to share more. Naruto Uzumaki, I don't really know how to explain it. I just remember everyone hated me, wouldn't play with me, and wouldn't sell me food. Every time I walked down the street, the cold stares were everywhere. In the stands, Hinata clenched her small hands, her palms soaked in sweat as she remembered the night she first met him. The genin felt a heavy weight in their chests. In the waiting area, Sasuke sat up slowly, finally understanding the depth of Naruto's reality. The screen flickered. The golden border on the right dimmed, and the pitch-black border on the left, representing the parallel universe, suddenly flared to life. Chapter 5, Old Man, Where is your shame? Luckily, I have Iruka-sensei, Naruto muttered in the original timeline's viewing. Iruka-sensei is different from the others. And luckily, I have many companions. Before Naruto could continue speaking, Senju Tobirama's message appeared in the chat room. Senju Tobirama, Iruka-sensei. Iruka Yumino, Lord Tobirama, I am Naruto's teacher at the Ninja Academy. Senju Tobirama, answer me honestly. Were you different toward Naruto from the very beginning? Iruka went silent for a moment before typing his reply. Iruka Yumino, no, Lord Tobirama. At first, I was just like everyone else, harboring resentment toward Naruto because of the 9 tails. But I am a teacher, and I knew deep down that this hatred could not be imposed on an innocent child. Naruto is. Senju Tobirama, so, someone enlightened you? Someone constantly gave you psychological suggestions to be kind to the boy. Iruka Yumino, no, that's not it. It was because I deeply understood the will of fire. Only then did I finally awaken to the truth. Tobirama stopped questioning Iruka. There was no need anymore. In that carefully constructed environment, even if Iruka hadn't changed, the village leadership would have simply found or made a second Iruka to play the role. At this moment, Senju Hashirama popped up again. Senju Hashirama, I see. Fourth Hokage, your son is truly outstanding. He understood the meaning of companionship very early on. Senju Tobirama, shut up, big brother. Senju Hashirama, Tobirama, at least let me finish. Before Tobirama could snap back, the wily Tsukikage jumped out again. Onoki, ha ha ha. Lord Hashirama, you haven't changed at all. However, the facts are laid bare. To downplay them now is just self-deception. How do you think the Jinchuriki's identity was exposed in the first place? Is it really that hard to guess? How could a young child know or think so much? In their most helpless moments, people will grasp at the last straw, let alone a lonely child. In my opinion, it won't be long before we see Hiruzen Sarutabi's true face exposed on this big screen. Ha ha ha. Fourth Raikage, exactly. That is the entire point. In the Raikage's office, Mabui rested her chin in her hands and shook her head helplessly, watching her leader laugh heartily at Konoha's expense. Meanwhile, in the Pure Land, Kushina's beautiful red hair stood completely on end, splitting into exactly 9 furious strands. She was on the verge of explosive, uncontrollable rage. Reading the chat logs, she went into a total rampage, her soul eye scanning the afterlife wildly, searching for Minato Namikaze. In her fury, she had completely forgotten that Minato's soul was currently sealed inside the death god's stomach. Azura, the sage of 6 paths, murmured from the depths of the Pure Land. With a wave of his hand, he relocated the surrounding souls away from Kushina's volatile aura, shaking his head. Soon, the afterlife became quiet again. On the screen, the golden frame continued. The scene shifted to the Konoha hospital, where young Naruto lay on a hospital bed. Bloodstains remained on his clothes. His face had been wiped clean, but the medical ninja's movements were extremely rough. Apparently, the rumors about Naruto being the monster fox had already spread through the hospital staff. Naruto closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep, completely unaware of how he was eventually returned to his musty, empty apartment. When he opened his eyes again, he was awakened by a growling stomach. In a daze, he caught the faint smell of food and searched the room. He noticed a few dishes left on the table, but they were already cold and slightly spoiled. Little Naruto didn't mind. He sat down and gobbled them up with relish anyway. Fishing. I think I know how. I'll try it when I wake up tomorrow. Suddenly, the young Naruto remembered a passing voice he had heard in his daze. The next morning, he ran straight to the training grounds and rivers behind the Leaf Village. He couldn't afford to be sad. If he didn't find food today, he would starve. Before long, Naruto fashioned a simple fishing rod. He didn't know why fishing lines and hooks happened to be lying around. Perhaps they were left behind by previous fishermen. Splash! With incredible beginner's luck, Naruto's first cast caught 3 small fish, each about the width of 3 adult fingers. The viewing audience looked at this scene with highly skeptical expressions. Coincidence? This was far too convenient. Was it really just good luck, or was someone deliberately guiding him to sustain himself? Furthermore, the fish on screen weren't even thrashing around. It looked as though someone had tied them to the bottom of the river beforehand. The sun shone brightly, and soon it was lunchtime. Naruto's stomach growled, and he began gathering firewood. Before leaving the Sarutobi compound, a clan ninja had impatiently taught him basic survival skills. When Naruto successfully started the fire, a cute smile finally appeared on his face. He skewered the fish on wooden sticks, waiting for the wood to turn to charcoal before roasting them. Without any seasoning, the taste was nothing to boast about, but it served as a meal. For the next few days, little Naruto repeated this routine. He had no idea what was safe to eat and what wasn't. No one was willing to approach him. He once tried to pick up a stray ball for a group of children, but they screamed and chased him away. It was as if the entire world rejected his existence. Every night, the boy would secretly wipe away his tears. The scene briefly summarized a rainy day where a starving Naruto, with nowhere else to go, walked into Ichiraku Ramen and experienced genuine human kindness for the very first time. This sequence completely drove Kushina insane in the Pure Land. Every time young Naruto wiped away a tear, she felt as if her heart was bleeding. The screen moved forward. Night fell, and Naruto placed his last fish over the charcoal fire. Sizzle! A thin layer of oil appeared on the fish, and the aroma filled the air. Naruto, however, was already numb to it. His eyes were completely vacant as he stared blankly into the flames. "Smells delicious," an aged voice suddenly rang out from the darkness. "Ah!" Naruto gasped, startled, slipping off the log and hitting the ground. He turned his head quickly and saw an old man with white hair walking out of the shadows. The old man wore a kind, grandfatherly smile. Unlike the villagers, Naruto couldn't feel any malice radiating from him. "Who are you?" Naruto asked, watching him warily. "Me? I'm just an old man passing by." The old man was none other than the third Hokage, Hiruzen Sarutobi. He looked at the fragrant grilled fish, and his stomach conveniently rumbled. The eerie atmosphere broke, and the old man and the child laughed in unison. If this scene were shown without context, it would have evoked a warm, heartwarming feeling. But when combined with the political machinations exposed right before it, the vibe was entirely different. "Old man, have some," Naruto said generously, thrilled to finally meet someone kind to him. Hiruzen Sarutobi didn't hesitate. He took the fish and began to eat. "Thank you so much. This fish is excellent. This is a fish I caught myself, of course it's delicious." Naruto beamed, happily taking a bite of his own. The fish was hot, and Naruto hadn't caught many. In the blink of an eye, 2 of the child's precious fish had been eaten by the third Hokage. The chat room went dead silent. The viewers collectively thought, "Old man, do you have no shame at all? There were only 3 fish, and that was a starving child's dinner." After eating, the old man and the child sat by the bonfire, gazing up at the starry night sky. "Look at the stars," Hiruzen began. The wily Tsukikage immediately sniffed out the manipulation. Tobirama narrowed his eyes as well. Chapter 6, The Strongest Hokage? "Look at those stars," Hiruzen Sarutobi said, realizing the timing was perfect. He pointed toward the sky. "Each and every one of those stars is actually just like the sun we see during the day." Little Naruto looked up. "The sun? You mean that big, blinding thing?" "That's right. This world is unimaginably vast, seemingly without end." "Wow!" Naruto's eyes lit up. "Old man, you know so much." Hearing this, Hiruzen smiled proudly. "Onoki, he, as expected of you, third Hokage." Right on script. My Terumi, Uzumaki Naruto was remarkably pure-hearted compared to other children. Senju Hashirama, ha 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 ha. Senju Tobirama, big brother, stop laughing blindly. On screen, Hiruzen continued his speech. In front of this vast world, humans are actually very insignificant. And our tiny, insignificant worries seem entirely trivial by comparison. The old man shook his head, lay out the philosophy. Naruto didn't truly understand, as no one had ever spoken to him like this before. Old man, are humans really that insignificant? Tears welled up in Naruto's big blue eyes. If we're all equally insignificant, then why does everyone treat me so differently? Hiruzen took out his pipe and took a slow puff. Old man, Naruto whispered, staring at him. I feel like I've seen you somewhere before. Oh? Why do you say that? Hiruzen's eyes gleamed. You look just like one of the stone faces carved on the mountain. You noticed that, did you? Hiruzen couldn't keep his smile down. Do you know what kind of people get their faces carved into the Hokage rock? Naruto shook his head blankly. The ones carved up there are the great heroes who protect the village. Where Konoha dances, the fire will burn bright. Hiruzen began to systematically instill the will of fire into the vulnerable child. Naruto couldn't comprehend the full political meaning, but he was completely captivated by the grand concepts. Seeing the look of profound longing on Naruto's face, Hiruzen knew his mission was completely accomplished. I see. Old man, you're amazing. Looking into Naruto's shining eyes, Hiruzen lightly coughed twice, then slowly stood up. He turned his back to the boy, clasping his hands behind him in a grand, dramatic posture. It's getting late. I must return. Naruto's face fell instantly, but he blurted out expectantly, Old man, can someone like me become the Hokage? Hiruzen turned his head, giving the boy a warm, validating smile. Of course. But you don't become Hokage to get everyone's recognition. Instead, once you have earned everyone's recognition, only then can you become the Hokage, the hero who protects the village. I believe that you, or Naruto, will definitely earn that recognition. Wow! Naruto cheered, before quickly asking, then, old man, are you the strongest person in the entire village? Of course. I am easily the strongest among the 4 Hokage. The scene abruptly cut to black. The arena fell into a stunned silence, everyone looking toward the Hokage's box with profoundly strange expressions. Hiruzen Sarutobi felt his face flush a deep red. Orochimaru, meanwhile, laughed unrestrainedly from the stands. Sakura Haruno, so that's why, no wonder Naruto's dream has always been to get everyone's recognition and become Hokage. I know Yamanaka, yeah, I always thought it was so annoying how he constantly shouted about becoming Hokage. It turns out he was completely brainwashed when he was just a toddler. Nora Shikamaru, Lino. Watch your mouth. Shikamaru frantically warned her in the chat. Ino glared in his direction but wisely chose to stop typing. Acha Sasuke, what an absolute idiot. Uzumaki Naruto, Sasuke. You're the idiot here. Sasuke was completely speechless. But the pieces finally fit. No wonder the dead last was obsessed with the title. Onoki, yo. The Will of Fire. Truly a masterclass in manipulation, 3rd Hokage. 4th Raikage A, TSK, TSK, TSK. What an amazing 3rd Hokage. The strongest among the 4 foot, I distinctly remember Konoha propaganda calling him the god of shinobi. Senju Hashirama, huh? The god of shinobi? Amazing. Monkey, I didn't expect you to completely surpass me. Senju Tobirama, big brother. Shut up. If anyone else had said that, it would be dripping with sarcasm. But coming from Hashirama, it was entirely literal, which made it hurt Hiruzen even worse. Tobirama quickly put the pieces together. After his own death, Konoha had lost its primary deterrence. To prevent rival villages from launching a coordinated invasion, the administration had clearly built up Hiruzen's reputation as a mythological god of shinobi to deter external threats. It was a standard political deception. The problem was, looking at the playback, Hiruzen seemed to actually believe his own hype when speaking to the child. Deceiving enemies was one thing, but believing your own propaganda was foolish. Still, wanting to preserve Konoha's stability, Tobirama forced himself to type against his conscience. Senju Tobirama, Hiruzen's actions are understandable. It was done for the sake of the village, to give the Jinchuriki a psychological anchor and a sense of belonging. Tobirama stopped typing, his face burning in the afterlife. He couldn't even convince himself. Using such low tactics on a hero's orphan was thoroughly despicable. Hiruzen Sarutabi, yes. I strictly followed my master's teachings. Everything I did was for the greater good of Konoha. Senju Tobirama, you absolute brat. Did I tell you to starve the boy and take credit for basic survival? Fourth Hokage, eh? Ha ha ha. I see. So starving heroes' children was the second Hokage's idea all along. No wonder. Onoki didn't push further. Having lived through that era, he knew exactly what the first and second Hokage were capable of. But the Hokage belonged to a younger generation that didn't fear Konoha's declining power. For years, the Hidden Cloud had pushed Konoha around, even attempting kidnappings within their borders, only for Konoha to appease them to avoid conflict. Uchiha Madara, as expected of master and disciple. Disgusting to the core. Senju Hashirama, Madara, you shouldn't judge so harshly. Uchiha Madara, oh? A lone Jinchuriki child is calculated down to his last copper, unable to even afford a hot meal without a speech attached, and you call this your ideal village, Hashirama? Hashirama fell silent. Tobirama was furious, but having just defended Hiruzen to maintain appearances, he couldn't backpedal now without looking foolish. Madara took full advantage, tearing Konoha's reputation to shreds. Uchiha Madara, furthermore, I haven't seen a single Uchiha speaking from the living world. Let me guess, did you finally eliminate them all, Tobirama? Cowards. Uchiha Izuna, big brother, I'm right here. Chapter 7, The Black Frame begins. Uchiha Madara, Izuna. Uchiha Izuna, big brother. The chat's mood briefly shifted until a highly controversial figure broke in. Danzo Shimura, hee. Hiruzen, I told you years ago that if you had given the boy to me en route, none of this public embarrassment would have happened. I can't believe you use such transparently pathetic methods on an innocent child. The hypocrisy caused an immediate uproar. Onoki, Danzo Shimura? You of all people dare to lecture someone about morality. Fourth Hokage, TSK, a total den of vipers. No wonder your village is collapsing. Even your own shadow commander is publicly stabbing you in the back. My Terumi, ostracizing a Jinchuriki is unfortunately human nature across our world. But for the leadership to actively foster that hatred just to swoop in as a savior, it explains a lot about Konoha's current state. My didn't press too hard, given the Hidden Mist's own recent history with the Blood Mist village era. Objectively, none of the 5 great nations had clean hands. But Konoha possessed the best resources and talents, yet constantly mismanaged them, drawing deep envy and spite from the rest of the world. Tobirama was completely speechless. He began to heavily question whether his decision to appoint Hiruzen back then was correct. Senju Hashirama, look! The other screen is turning on. Senju Tobirama, big brother, just watch quietly. Tobirama assumed Hashirama was being distracted again, but looking up, he realized it was true. The golden screen remained dark, but the black-framed screen on the left flared to life, depicting the exact same starting scenario. The top floor of the run-down apartment appeared. The Sarutabi clan ninja pushed open the door, the musty smell wafting out. From today on, this is your home, the ninja said with undisguised disgust. At his feet stood a thin child. This parallel version of Naruto Uzumaki stood completely expressionless. This is your living expense for this month. Once it's gone, figure it out yourself. The ninja threw down the envelope of 3,000 Ryo and left instantly. Parallel Naruto silently picked up the envelope, walked inside, and calmly opened every window to let the room air out. Looking around the barren apartment, he frowned slightly, sat down on a wooden chair, and fell into deep thought. Sakura Haruno, huh? Didn't we just watch this exact scene? I know Yamanaka. Yeah, this is the exact same moment he was kicked out. Nara Shikamaru, look closer. This Naruto is entirely different. Following Shikamaru's prompt, the viewers noticed the change. This Naruto wasn't crying or standing helplessly outside. He looked calculated, analytical, and deep in thought. The parallel Naruto on screen began to move. He emptied the envelope onto the table, spreading out the 3,000 ryo. A month is 30 days, the child's voice echoed, cold and logical. That leaves exactly 100 ryo per day for living expenses. It's incredibly low. The prices I observed in the market earlier were far higher than this. I remember seeing a fishing spot behind the mountains. The fish I catch can secure my meals, and any surplus can be traded at the market for other essentials. Cooking will also require gathering firewood and acquiring basic seasonings. The chat room went dead silent. Acha Sasuke, HMPH. This Naruto actually has a brain. The one in our world looks like a complete clown by comparison. Uzumaki Naruto, Sasuke. Shut up. Neji, still recovering on the arena floor, silently agreed with Sasuke's assessment. The rest of the genin collectively nodded. Uzumaki Naruto, even Sakura is staring at the screen like that. Damn it. Naruto felt completely frustrated. Why was everyone instantly deciding the other version of him was superior? In the Pure Land, Kushina's anger gave way to overwhelming tears. My Naruto, oh, my poor child. The upcoming quiz must be about this parallel world. I have to win the resurrection reward no matter what. For the first time, the volatile woman forced herself to think strategically. Her perception of her husband, Minato, was also subtly fracturing. From the moment the broadcast started, he had barely spoken, offering only a timid compliance. Was it guilt, or something else? She didn't care anymore. Her only goal was returning to the living world to feed and protect her son, who was clearly suffering from severe malnutrition. Suddenly, the black-framed screen cut away to a scene that had never been shown in the original timeline. The screen displayed the Hokage's office. Lord Hokage, the target has been delivered to the designated apartment, the Sarutobi clan ninja reported, kneeling before the desk. I have strictly instructed him not to return to the clan compound, and reinforce the framing as you requested. Understood. Dismissed, Hiruzen Sarutobi nodded, waving his hand. As the camera zoomed out, it revealed that Hiruzen wasn't alone. Sitting in the office with him were Danzo Shimura, Utatane Koharu, and Homura Mitakado, the absolute core of the Leaf Village leadership. The village elders gasped in unison. Oh no. The system is displaying our private meetings. Chapter 8, The Great Exposure. The Leaf Village leadership instantly realized they were doomed. The black-framed screen wasn't just showing Naruto, it was exposing the highest levels of political confidentiality to the entire world. Massive beads of sweat rolled down Hiruzen's face. Orochimaru's grin widened, while in the root headquarters, Danzo's expression turned incredibly sour. In Tanzaku town, Tsunade slammed her sake bottle onto the table of a tavern. A bunch of old, rotting hypocrites. Lady Tsunade, please, you've had too much, Shizune pleaded, holding Tun-Tun tightly. Tsunade ignored her, staring intently at the chat, deeply wishing she could hear the voices of her lost loved ones alongside her grandfather's text, but she refused to type publicly. The screen continued the secret meeting. Hiruzen, this matter requires a proper explanation, Utatane Koharu spoke up, following a look from Danzo. The Jinchuriki must be monitored within a strictly controlled environment. Allowing him to live unsupervised in the civilian sector is an unnecessary risk. If an incident occurs at this stage, the village cannot handle the fallout. Homura Mitakado nodded gravely. I agree. It is far too dangerous. Hiruzen remained entirely unbothered, taking a leisurely puff from his pipe. Danzo! What say you? Danzo spoke expressionlessly. What Koharu and Homura say is correct, Hiruzen. The Jinchuriki belongs to the hidden village, not to you alone. You enacted this deployment without consulting the council. He must not remain outside our direct sphere of influence. Hiruzen raised an eyebrow. And your solution? Hand him over to Root, Danzo demanded coldly. His mental state is highly unstable. If you cannot guarantee his absolute, unquestioning loyalty to the chain of command, you are playing with fire. Onoki, the fabled darkness of Konoha. Truly magnificent to watch. Danzo Shimura, silence, Tsukikage. Everything discussed was strictly for the security of our infrastructure. This is an internal matter. The screen continued playing. Handing him to Root ensures his utility as a weapon, Koharu agreed. Hiruzen glanced up from his pipe. Loyalty? Loyalty to Konoha, Koharu? Or loyalty to Danzo's faction? Koharu immediately shut her mouth. The arrangements are finalized, Hiruzen stated authoritatively. Danzo, pull your operatives back. I will not have Naruto interacting with the Root organization. Hiruzen. Do you have any idea how much damage that brat will cause if the seal compromises? Danzo slammed his hand on the desk. Can your handful of Anbu guards guarantee absolute containment? Hiruzen put his pipe down, his gaze narrowing. Enough. Recall your men. This matter is concluded. Hiruzen. You? Danzo, Hiruzen interrupted, his voice dropping to a cold, definitive tone. I am the Hokage. Danzo's expression froze, turning utterly furious. Koharu and Homura wisely chose to remain silent. With a harsh scowl, Danzo turned on his heel and stormed out, violently slamming the office door behind him. Fourth Raikage, eh? Ha ha ha. Splendid comedy. The great leaders of the Leaf, arguing like dogs over a bone. Hiruzen buried his face in his hands. But the playback wasn't finished. On screen, after Danzo's departure, Homura and Koharu shifted closer to the desk. Hiruzen, putting the Jinchuriki matter aside for a moment, the Uchiha clan's movements have become increasingly unstable lately. The moment those words were spoken, Sasuke's mind went entirely blank. A high-pitched ringing filled his ears. The Uchiha downfall was tied directly to these exact four people. Uchiha Madara, he. As expected of the trash who inherited your legacy, Tobirama. Tell me, surviving Uchiha, was the clan truly eradicated by these absolute insects? Uchiha Izuna, big brother, please calm down. Senju Tobirama, the Uchiha clan was entirely wiped out. Hiruzen. Tell me this is a fabrication. This wasn't a formal battlefield negotiation, Tobirama was demanding answers from his own student. Hiruzen Sarutabi, Tobirama-sensei, by the time the full scope of the operational parameters reached my desk, it was already too late. I deeply regret the outcome. I stripped Danzo of his official titles immediately following the incident. Tobirama wanted to tear his hair out in the afterlife. He deeply regretted defending Hiruzen mere moments ago. Wiping out an entire founding clan? How incompetent could his students possibly be? Danzo Shimura, this is absolute slander. Hiruzen, how dare you shift the entire bureaucratic blame onto my department? We have no confirmation that this parallel timeline reflects our historical reality. Danzo typed frantically, attempting to control the narrative. Orochimaru, he. The Uchiha massacre? I remember it quite vividly. Itachi Uchiha systematically slaughtered. Orochimaru, shut your mouth. Hiruzen roared across the arena, his eyes wide with panic. Orochimaru simply offered a chilling, mocking smirk. Before the snake could type another word, a heavy, authoritative name appeared in the chat. Uchiha Fugaku, let the matter rest, Orochimaru. Do not utter another word regarding the specifics. The former head of the Uchiha had finally broken his silence. He knew Sasuke was still physically present in the Leaf Village, surrounded by enemies. If the full, unvarnished truth of the coup and Itachi's mission was exposed right now, a cornered Danzo would immediately deploy every remaining root assassin to eliminate Sasuke to silence the bloodline. "Father!" Sasuke whispered, his vision blurring with tears. "Uchiha, eradicated by one of our own? What kind of monster would do such a thing?" Chapter 9, Kushina and Naruto, you must remember what they look like. Uchiha Fugaku Izuna-sama, that's my eldest son, Uchiha Itachi. Uchiha Izuna, unfilial descendant. I have failed Oni-chan. Uchiha Fugaku was too embarrassed to speak further. His silence hung heavily over the chat room, a grim testament to the tragedy of his clan. "Uchiha Sasuke, father, I will definitely kill that beast to avenge you, and to avenge our clan." Uchiha Madara, enough, Izuna, let bygones be bygones. This Uchiha is not worth your anger. Meanwhile, in the Pure Land, Kushina stood stunned. The weight of the revelation left her speechless. Uchiha Itachi had actually annihilated his entire clan, even personally taking the lives of his own parents, Uchiha Fugaku and Uchiha Mikoto. It must be those old things secretly causing trouble, she snarled under her breath. When she was alive, Kushina had been close friends with Uchiha Mikoto. She had met the young Itachi a few times, and from her impressions, he was a gentle, quiet prodigy. She firmly believed he would never commit such a heinous crime on his own. No matter the reason, it shouldn't have ended like this. On screen, the parallel timeline secret meeting continued. Anyone would be dissatisfied going from the core area to the outskirts, Utatane Koharu noted coldly. "Let's put this matter aside for now," Hiruzen Tsurutobi replied, taking a slow puff from his pipe. Koharu nodded, adjusting her glasses. "Since that's the case, we'll head back first. Regarding the Uchiha matter, focus on Uchiha Shisui and Uchiha Itachi, that would be better," Homura Mitakado reminded him before leaving. Hiruzen merely nodded, offering no further comment. After the two elders left, Hiruzen exhaled a dense cloud of smoke, staring out the window at the bustling village below. Preparations for the Uchiha matter must be made first. Danzo is quite keen on this matter, so let him have free rein. It'll save him from constantly coming over here for no reason. Right now, for the third Hokage, the most critical piece on the board remained the Nine Tails Jinchuriki. Onoki, TSK, I knew it. Absolutely hypocritical. Rosa, the darkness of Konoha? Danzo is just a tool in the third Hokage's hands. Whatever he does, could it really be hidden from the leader of the village? The fourth Kazekage didn't stop there, his text practically dripping with venom. Rosa, damn Orochimaru. Rosa knew all too well how suffocating Konoha could be. If it weren't for their so-called ally constantly squeezing the hidden sands economy, to the point where Rosa had to use his own magnet release to mine gold dust just to sustain their budget, he never would have allied with Orochimaru. The entire purpose of the joint Chunin Exams invasion was a desperate bid for survival. In the stadium, Hiruzen Tsurutobi's face grew increasingly grim. He hadn't expected his past political calculations to be laid out so nakedly before the world. Hiruzen Tsurutobi, I have no recollection of this matter. It seems, as Danzo said, that world is completely different from this one. Whatever I did in that timeline has nothing to do with me. In the Pure Land, Senju Tobirama was practically vibrating with rage. A single defensive statement earlier had trapped him in an endless passive position. He desperately wished he could go back in time to that fateful mission. If he could rewrite history, the moment Hiruzen volunteered to act as a decoy, Tobirama would have immediately said, "Good, you go ahead." And when Danzo chimed in, he would have added, "Excellent, the two of you cover the retreat." He hadn't seen a single message from Akimichi Torifu or Uchiha Kagami, and it wasn't hard to guess their fates. If Koharu and Homura dared to speak up now, he would gladly drag them into the dirt too. Unfortunately, regret brings no remedies. Tobirama could only sulk in the afterlife. The words were out, and even his older brother didn't dare speak rashly anymore. Just then, the black-framed screen shifted. the parallel young Naruto stood in front of a cracked mirror, staring at his reflection. He raised a small hand, gently tracing the 6 whisker marks on his cheeks. "Why am I different from everyone else?" he murmured, deeply puzzled. Before he could ponder further, a sharp pang of hunger interrupted his thoughts. He counted his remaining money, tucked it into his pocket, and left the apartment. The audience held their breath. Was it going to happen again? How would this version of Naruto react compared to the golden timeline? The villagers of Konoha felt a collective shudder, a sudden instinctual dread that this version might harbor a terrifying grudge. The screen detailed his walk through the market. Like the golden timeline, Naruto noted the surrounding shops. When he spotted a store selling fishing gear, he stopped. However, before even stepping inside, he caught sight of the price tags. A complete rod was far too expensive for his meager budget. Fortunately, basic hooks and fishing line were cheap. For just 100 ryo, the shopkeeper handed him a small box of hooks and 10 meters of line. It was an incredibly generous amount for the price. The shopkeeper, seeing a polite, well-behaved child shopping alone, had thrown in the extra hooks as a gift. Parallel Naruto silently packed the items away, bowed deeply to the shopkeeper, and expressed his gratitude before heading off to find food. The shopkeeper even smiled and waved him goodbye. The viewing audience stared in confusion. This was completely different from the overt hostility of the golden timeline. Was this parallel village truly kinder? Right on cue, the illusion broke. A man with a sharp, disciplined demeanor disguised as a commoner whispered, "Hey, look. Is that him?" Another nearby civilian, matching his rigid posture, nodded. "Yes, that's him. Look at the whiskers on his face. Uzumaki Kushina, old monkey." Kushina's roar of pure hatred practically manifested as a physical force in the afterlife. Hiruzen felt a cold sweat break out across his neck, but a second later, Kushina's feed was muted again by the system for excessive formatting violations. "Senju Tobirama, monkey. Look at the brilliant work you've done." Tobirama seized the opening immediately, desperate to distance himself from his students' administrative failures. "Senju Hashirama, Tobirama, what's wrong with you?" "Senju Tobirama, big brother, look at what this monkey is doing. He is repeatedly scheming against a child. These are the tender green sprouts of Konoha? When did I ever teach him a will of fire that terrorizes toddlers?" "Senju Hashirama, that's a good point. Monkey, you've gone too far. Ucha Madara, HMPH. A clumsy performance. Achirizuna, Onii-chan, isn't that Tobirama fellow always shameless? No wonder he raised such a stellar disciple. Like master, like student. Senju Tobirama, you two are enough. I have tolerated your barking for long enough." Tobirama deliberately escalated the argument, hoping to make the audience forget his previous defense of the administration. "Achirizuna, you think I'm scared of you? Come out and fight one-on-one. Senju Tobirama, come on, then. A defeated general dares to bark so wildly in the afterlife. Ucha Madara, Senju Hashirama, ha tilde give me some face, everyone, stop arguing. Oh, and monkey, you get out here and explain yourself. Hiruzen Sarutabi, Hashirama-sama, it's not like that. I never sent anyone to orchestrate such a display. It must be that Danzo fellow, acting out in rage after leaving my office. Danzo Shimura, you are completely full of crap, Hiruzen. Onoki, it truly is a blessing to live a long life. You get to watch Konoha's hounds bite each other in broad daylight tilde. Due to the chaotic cross-talk, the system promptly muted the entire chat room, forcing everyone to focus back on the screen. The two disguised operatives quickly drew a crowd. Within moments, parallel Naruto felt a palpable wave of malice closing in. His steps slowed as the vicious whispers reached his ears. It's him. The cursed fox demon. How is that thing even allowed to walk freely? I lost my family to that monster. The hostility was suffocating. The small smile vanished from Naruto's face. The commotion drew the kind shopkeeper out onto the street. When he saw the crowd pointing at the polite boy, his face twisted into utter disbelief. This sweet, well-behaved child was the legendary Fox Demon. He underwent a visible internal struggle, his eyes reddened, but unlike the others, he didn't join in on the cursing. He simply stood back, paralyzed by fear and confusion. Die, Fox Demon! Whoosh! A small stone whizzed past Naruto's ear. Naruto froze, his eyes instantly tracking the trajectory of the rock. He locked onto the source, sensing a sharp, focused energy entirely distinct from ordinary civilians. Is that a ninja? The boy thought. The camera focused sharply on the face of the first commoner who had stirred up the crowd. Hearing the parallel Naruto's sharp internal deductions, the audience's eyes widened. In the Pure Land, Kushina wiped away her tears, her heart swelling with a fierce pride. Uzumaki Kushina, good job, Naruto. Remember their faces. You must remember exactly what they look like. Chapter 10, Hashira unleashes his power. Kushina's words cast a heavy, suffocating silence over the living residents of Konoha. The civilians who had spent years throwing garbage and insults at the orphans suddenly panicked. They had assumed the Hokage would always shield them. Now, a legendary specter was vowing vengeance. Minato Namikaze, Kushina, please, you. Before Minato could finish his plea for moderation, Kushina bypassed the system's restrictions by embedding her thoughts directly into the soul stream. Uzumaki Kushina, get lost, Minato. I don't need you telling me how to feel. Go ahead and play the loyal dog to a village that starves your bloodline. Protect these idiots if you want, but stay out of my way. Down in the arena, the living Naruto stood entirely bewildered. Why does Mom want me to remember their faces so badly? Standing nearby as the referee, Shiranui Gunma felt his eye twitch. As a former member of the Fourth Hokage's personal guard, he felt a profound wave of shame. They had failed their master's legacy entirely. Looking at Naruto's small, lonely back, Gunma's vision seemed to blur, the image of the young savior overlapping perfectly with the memory of the yellow flash. Yondaime, he murmured under his breath. On the arena floor, Neji's lips curled into a faint, satisfied smile as he watched the black-framed screen. Remarkable. I wonder how he will handle what comes next. If this version heard my philosophy on destiny, how would he answer? On screen, the crowd's fervor peaked. Kill the Fox Demon, an old woman screamed, pulling a raw egg from her basket and hurling it. Despite his confusion, parallel Naruto remained hyper-vigilant. He ducked smoothly, letting the egg smash against the pavement behind him, the liquid splattering his sandals. His brow furrowed as absolute fury surged through his veins. Why are they doing this to me? What did I ever do wrong? I don't care about a Fox Demon, that isn't me. But as his anger reached a boiling point, a sudden, bizarre sensation washed over his mind. A profound, unnatural wave of tranquility forced his burning rage to cool down, projecting an artificial impulse of absolute forgiveness. No matter what they do, I have to forgive them. Naruto's internal voice roared against the sensation. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. Why would I ever think something so ridiculous? The audience watched in fascination. Hyuga Neji's pupils constricted. He looked sharply at the living Naruto beside him, noting his utterly blank, clueless expression. Neji realized something monumental. Uzumaki Naruto wasn't just a host for a monster, his very soul was a battleground for forces beyond comprehension. In the Pure Land, Uchiha Madara's gaze narrowed. Between the ancient Uchiha stone tablet and his own lifetime of research, he recognized the signs instantly. Is that brat the current reincarnation of Ashura? A perfect cocktail of Uzumaki vitality and Senju spirit, it fits. No wonder the golden-framed version felt so unnaturally compliant. He was entirely suppressed by the predecessor's soul print. Madara kept his revelation to himself, watching with a predatory smirk. On screen, a second egg flew through the air, striking parallel Naruto squarely on the forehead. The shell cracked sharply, dripping yolk down his face. The stinging pain brought involuntary tears to his eyes, but his mind was occupied by a far greater rage. He was fighting a civil war against his own psyche. "Get away from me! Stop trying to control what I feel!" "Kill the shameless monster," the disguised operative shouted again, inciting the crowd. "Die," a civilian roared, grabbing the entire basket of eggs and throwing them in rapid succession. Splat! 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 Within seconds, the parallel Naruto was coated in filth. The throbbing pain in his head threw off his balance, preventing him from dodging. His teeth chattered with absolute rage. He fiercely struck his own temples with his fists, forcing his eyes open to glare directly through the dripping yolk at the faces of his attackers. He burned every single feature into his memory. Buzz? The foreign chakra flared again, attempting to soothe his anger and blur the faces of the villagers from his mind. "I said? Get out of my head!" Naruto screamed internally. Back in the real world, the living Naruto rubbed his head in confusion. What is happening? Was I really like that when I was little? It feels familiar, but I can't grasp it. Because that isn't you, Ineji said, suppressing the urge to sigh. Look at the screen. Did you remember the face of the Sarutobi ninja who dropped you off? Naruto blinked. No. I know someone brought me there, but his face is completely blank in my memory. There are forces manipulating your mind, Naruto. Two distinct powers, Neji explained, his voice low and analytical. The tailed beast is one, but there is something else trying to wipe your grudges. Deep within Naruto's subconscious, the massive form of the nine tails shifted behind its golden bars, its maw curling into a sinister grin. HMPH. You foolish brat, that soothing trash isn't my power, the fox rumbled, its voice echoing in Naruto's mind. My chakra brings burning wrath, not mindless submission. I must admit, I envy my counterpart in that parallel world. That version of you will learn to crave my power to burn away that mental cage. Unlike you, so disgustingly sympathetic you leave me speechless. Neji placed a firm hand on Naruto's trembling shoulder. You are both Naruto, and you started from the exact same dark room. If he can break the chains holding his mind back, you can too. Chapter 11, Neji, you can do it too, you're Naruto too. Neji was officially placing his bets. He was betting on Naruto's ascension, seeing him as the ultimate leverage to break the Hyuga clan's rigid destiny and dissolve the caged bird seal once and for all. In the chat room, the world's elite were unraveling the mystery. My Terumi, that flashed for a microsecond, did everyone catch that? Sakura Haruno, yes, it felt terrifying. Naruto's eyes sometimes turn exactly like that when he loses control. My Terumi, as expected of the Nine Tails container. But that leaves a massive question, whose energy was suppressing him before the fox chakra flared up? Orochimaru, the parallel Naruto-kun possesses a delightfully sharp, independent mind. Hiruzen-sensei, care to illuminate the audience? Is this psychological dampener a specialized seal from your administration? Hiruzen's teeth ground together in fury. Sensing Tobirama's icy glare from the afterlife, he typed frantically. Hiruzen Sarutobi, absolutely not. I have never utilized genjutsu or cognitive alterations to control Naruto's development in our world. Acha Madara, HMPH, save your breath, old monkey. Even if you wanted to manipulate a soul print of that caliber, your useless teacher wouldn't have possessed the knowledge. It is far beyond your pathetic lineage. Senju Hashirama, Madara, what exactly are you implying? Senju Tobirama, big brother. Just look closer. Did you honestly feel nothing familiar about the spiritual frequency of that boy's resistance? Madara's eyes narrowed in the dark. Hashirama, playing dumb as always, simply replied with a wall of text. Senju Hashirama, did I? Ha 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 tilde maybe tilde. On screen, parallel Naruto remained curled on the pavement, his tiny frame trembling violently. He wasn't crying from sorrow, he was channeling every ounce of his willpower to reject the foreign piece attempting to overwrite his hatred. Seeing his resistance, the crowd grew bolder, assuming the demon was paralyzed by fear. A barrage of stones and garbage rained down on him. "Die, fox!" A sharp stone struck his forehead, drawing fresh blood. Naruto's vision blurred, the crimson liquid mixing with the egg yolk. He stared down at his wet hands, his heart hammering like a war drum. Thump! 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 For a fraction of a second, his sky-blue eyes bled into a predatory crimson, the pupils slitting into razor-thin lines. Instantly, the oppressive, foreign peacefulness in his mind was violently torn to shreds by the sheer malice of the fox's chakra. The mental noise vanished. Naruto's head felt incredibly light. He sat up slowly, wiping the blood from his brow, his eyes reverting to blue, but his gaze was entirely cold. "Finally, it's quiet," he whispered. Nara Shikamaru, he broke it. He completely resisted the cognitive override. Nara Shikamaru, if we assume both versions of Naruto started with the exact same spiritual template, the golden-framed Naruto became a hostage to that foreign whisper, while the black-framed Naruto preserved his absolute autonomy. Senju Tobirama, the Nara youth? Your deduction is exceptionally precise. Onoki, ha ha, this old man is highly anticipating the third Hokage's grand arrival in this timeline. I wonder what script he'll try to read to a boy who remembers every strike. Orokaimaru, Azumai. Hiruzen Sarutabi, Onoki, do you truly believe I am capable of acting entirely without honor? Minato Namikaze, you certainly were in our timeline, Lord Third. The entire village of Konoha went rigid. The legendary fourth Hokage, the ultimate hero who sacrificed his life to seal the beast, had just openly condemned the administration. Hiruzen Sarutabi, Minato. You are an honored inheritor of the will of fire. Are you truly standing before the world to question my leadership? Hiruzen instinctively relied on his authority. For decades, he had ruled supreme. When the front lines faltered during the Third War, he had strategically stepped down to appease the public, pushing the compliant, popular young Minato into the spotlight while retaining the true executive authority from behind the scenes. He expected absolute loyalty from his puppet, even in death. On screen, the world seemed to move in slow motion for parallel Naruto. Another rock flew toward his face, but he tilted his head casually, letting it whistle past his ear. Ever since that mental weight broke, I can see everything perfectly. Is this what chakra feels like? When I'm angry, the world slows down. But the ninja said chakra requires refinement techniques. Is this power coming from whatever is locked inside me? Deep within the seal, the parallel Nine Tails grinned. This kid was a genius. It could easily feed information into a mind this sharp. Die, monster, a civilian roared, throwing another rock. Naruto dodged it effortlessly. You want me to die, he whispered, his teeth grinding as he scooped up a heavy, jagged stone from the street. What did I ever do to you? It hurts. With an explosive movement, Naruto lunged forward, hurling the stone directly back at the old woman who had started the assault, aiming precisely for her forehead. The demon is fighting back. Kill it, a hidden voice boomed through the street, laced with subtle sound amplification chakra to rally the mob. Naruto's pupils contracted to needles. Through the chaos, his eyes locked onto the source, not a civilian, but a trained operative hiding in the alleyways. And right across the street, the old woman collapsed to the pavement, blood pooling from her brow. The old woman's expression showed absolutely no relief when parallel Naruto managed to dodge the jagged stone. Instead, her face twisted with a bitter, deep-seated resentment that went far beyond casual civilian fear. Looking from her bleeding forehead to the hidden operative lingering in the shadows of the alley, a cold, brilliant realization washed over the young boy. So that's it, everything was intentional. Someone orchestrated this entire thing. The sheer scale of the manipulation laid bare before his young mind was staggering. But the logic didn't fully track yet. Even if someone is pulling the strings from behind the scenes, why? Why do these people look at me with such genuine, burning hatred over a low-level incitement? Finding the calculated blueprint behind his suffering didn't calm parallel Naruto, it only made the inferno of his anger burn hotter. If the entire village was willing to act as mindless weapons for a hidden master to terrorize a child, then the entire village was his enemy. He planted his feet on the blood and egg-stained pavement, slowly straightening his small frame. He didn't hide his face. He didn't cower. "You want to kill me?" Naruto's voice rang out across the crowded street. It was low, raspy, and carried an unnatural, heavy resonance that caused the closest civilians to instinctively step back. He stared down the mob, his sky-blue eyes flashing with a terrifying, absolute clarity. "Fox demon. I don't care what I am," he growled, his knuckles turning white as he clenched his small fists. "But if I really am the fox demon you're all so terrified of, I'll kill every single one of you right now." The raw, unfiltered declaration cut through the chaotic screams of the market like a razor blade. The crowd froze, a suffocating silence falling over the street as they looked at the blood-soaked child. For the first time, they weren't looking at a helpless orphan they could safely abuse, they were looking at a monster that was waking up.